Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street Tarot and Seasons of Ritual, and we're going to talk about this Venus star point. And I'm going to try to do my best. This is the second time I've tried to make the video. The first time I tried to make it, I tried to do nuts and bolts first. I felt like it got a little jumbled. So maybe I'll just kind of do the stream of consciousness first and then do the nuts and bolts. We'll see. So just stick with me, cats and kittens, because I do think this is really important. The idea of the Venus star point is still a relatively new idea as far as it goes with astrology, because astrology's been around forever. But what people started noticing is that they would track Venus through the heavens, and she was making every 8 years, she would make a pentacle, right? Which I think is very beautiful. And so she starts in Leo, and then throughout the 8 years, she interacts with Aries, Gemini, Leo, Scorpio, and Capricorn. And there's certain points where when they meet up throughout an 8-year period, and it makes a pentacle, it makes a star. So she has gone through a star cycle, and now she's back in Leo retrograde. So the way that I've been reading this and have been doing this while learning about it is that she starts retrograde, she goes to a full, and then she returns retrograde. Okay, so a good way to see it is sort of like a moon cycle. So she's at a new Venus right now. In 4 years, she goes to a full Venus, and then she gets back to the new Venus. And when she gets back to the new Venus, it starts a brand new cycle, which I think is really beautiful. So hopefully that's enough with the nuts and bolts, I guess. We can go over dates and stuff later. But this is what I find very interesting about Venus, in that when they started tracking her and noticing that she made a star, a pentagram, a pentacle in the sky, is that Venus is an earth goddess, right? She rules Taurus. And Taurus is earth. Taurus is fixed earth. And in the tarot, the fixed earth is represented by our earth, not fixed earth, but all the earth signs are represented by a pentacle. So I think it's really beautiful that when they started tracking Venus and how she goes across the sky in this 8-year period, in these 8-year periods, that she does make a pentacle. I think that's cool and neat. And this is one way how I see how all this information that we have can all start working together. So let's talk a little bit about how I see this new Venus happening. So in 2019, so 4 years ago, when she was a full Venus, I kept talking about Venus as a full Venus, like she's realized, and so for us, Venus to me represents our feminine, divine feminine side. And we have a divine feminine, we have a divine masculine side, no matter how we present. That's just how we're made up. So and you want them to work together. That feminine side of us receives, that masculine side of us is what moves. And so together, when they work together, that is us showing up authentically. That is us listening to that yin and yang that we have, and that is within the world, and that's how we move. That's how we move forward. We have to receive and we have to give, and it needs to be kind of simultaneously. So this is when I bring in my little beep about the patriarchy. The patriarchy, when it came in, it caused a lot of separation. You were either female or you were either male, and that's not true, and it doesn't work, right? Like, we have both of these energies within us for a reason, because that's what causes harmony. But when that patriarchy came in and wanted that divide and that oppression, well, we see how the world is today. So what is so beautiful about this, starting this new 8-year cycle, it is, I guess, important for us, we can reflect on the past 8 years. When Venus, and honestly, let's go back to the past 4 years. When Venus was in this full Venus time, that was the Me Too movement was at its peak. People were coming in and not putting up with this shit anymore. And then for us on individual levels in the past 4 years, especially, and I can speak to myself for sure, things started to come like very clear. Venus rules our self-worth, right? Venus rules how Venus rules money, right? Because it rules Taurus. So it is self-worth. It is money. What do we find valuable? Do we find ourselves valuable? And because we did start finding ourselves valuable, then we were able to start dismantling old stories that were keeping us down, keeping us small, or keeping us feeling like we weren't worth things, right? So this Venus energy in her full self, when she was just shining and grounding us into knowing like who we are and letting the rest fall away, that was a very beautiful time. So now we're coming into this new cycle, a new 8-year cycle. You can see it's a new 4-year cycle, right? Might not be so daunting. Okay, so this new 4-year cycle, and we're coming in with this new Venus energy. And I think this is a really beautiful time because of the way the patriarchy is falling, the way we're moving away from those false fake patriarchy values. And when I say the patriarchy, I'm not just speaking of women, I'm talking about men too. The patriarchy is just all about oppression. Okay. I know for a long time, it was, we all hated men. It's okay. I can say it, there was a long time where I went through this idea of why do we need men? Like we can do all this stuff ourselves. And what that triggered to me, and then I realized, and I know a lot of you realized this too, was that I was hurting my own divine masculine. Like I wasn't allowing my divine masculine to grow up and meet my divine feminine, right? And I needed them to be on the same page. So that was a great learning curve. That was a great learning cycle. So again, when I talk about the patriarchy, I just mean it oppressing everyone, not just oppressing women, but also oppressing men. When you can't What I find so interesting is when people say, well, secretly behind closed doors, they say this, but they won't come out and say it publicly. That's the patriarchy. That's the patriarchy. Okay. Which we'll do another video on that. So, but I digress. So Venus was here. She was lighting us up, men, women, however you present. And she was saying, this is what my self-worth is. I starting to understand this about me. I'm starting to ground that in. And so now here we are 4 years later, and we're starting with this new Venus energy, and she's retrograde because she's going over everything she's learned in this past 8 years. She's going over everything she's learned in the past 4 years. And so moving forward, we get to start it like it's a new, I do see the new Venus as the Ace of Pentacles. It's a brand new beginning, right? And it's abundant and it gets to go wherever we want to go. And it's this beautiful, it's lush, if you will, and the universe is handing us this new opportunity. How do we want to handle this new Venus energy moving forward? Where do we see ourselves now in this Venus energy of being grounded and being abundant? And what is it that I want to put what I find worthy to me? What is it that I find keeps me grounded and stable, and that I'm trying to think of the right word here. Not worthy, but like what I want to spend my money on, like what I feel like I need to put my resources towards, Also with this new Venus, again, Gaia, Mother Earth, we're seeing the earth differently. Like she is our protector, she is our home, and we're doing all these things now to make sure that we keep her. Now look, I know you guys are saying we're not doing enough, James, but we're getting there. Okay, but to keep her safe, we're seeing things that we didn't see before about how important it is to make sure Mother Earth is protected, and we can work symbiotically, right, with her. So this new Venus is us, like it's like we learned all these lessons and now we're stepping forth in a new way, and we get to start bringing these new lessons in the way we want to bring them in. So it is important at this time to allow, I keep saying this, all those, which everyone does, but like those old stories to keep going away. We're not bringing them forward. If you watch my other video, and I was talking about how I got gaslit. And even this morning, I was talking to my friend, and the idea is if I've been working on myself and I have these new stories, right, about me, and I'm not bringing the old stories forward, well, whatever's gaslighting me, I've got to then say, I can't believe, maybe that's not what these people are thinking about me. I've got to give myself that grace to be like, Jamie, you've healed all this stuff. So if someone brings this up and it's gaslighting me, then I need to say, you know what? I can't bring that story forward. Maybe they don't even think that at all. Maybe I just kept going down that storyline because that was feeding the storyline I had about myself. And now I think this about myself. So nope, I can't. And listen, it's not comfortable. I had to sit there. I mean, it was really funny. Like in my mind, I was just sitting there and there was like two of me. And one of me, it's like pulled me out of the gaslighting fire and sat me down, was like, you know, you need a timeout. And we both just kind of sat there. And that gaslit self just finally said, you know what? Maybe this isn't the story anymore. Maybe they've never thought that about me. And then my other side that was sitting there said, maybe not. And there was no judgment. There was no judgment. It was just that time to fucking move on with my life, you know? So use this new Venus energy. Like, if you see the new Venus energy, you know, I see it as quiet, you know, I see it as calm. I see it as, okay, looking around again, when it's new Venus, like if it's a new moon, you know, that's where we're in the womb, right? That's where all this new stuff starts to begin. That's where we can see like the past is the past, and we've got to move forward. And that divine feminine side of us, that is the natural nurturer, the natural receiver, you know, now we get to start receiving new information about ourselves, new information that we love. This is a little feather, by the way, you guys. I kept it there for my angels. But it's like this new idea that you know, we get to create the home, you know, our home. We get to create and we get to go down the path we want to, right? Because we have all this new sense of knowing, we have this new sense of knowledge. We're tapping back into who we are emotionally, but like solidly back to Mother Earth, and seeing like we're all connected and we can all do this together. What I also find really beautiful about this time, so this is the 13th. On the 16th, we will have the new moon in Leo. And Leo is ruled by the sun. And Leo represents our divine masculine side. And so you have Venus, who's in this quiet stage, right? She's starting this new journey, being very quiet, in kind of in contemplation. And it doesn't mean like you have to wait 4 years to then full Venus yourself again. What it's saying to me is that we've got all this new knowledge, and we're starting this new journey. And how are we starting it? Just one step at a time. Okay. You're still going to speak up. You're still going to shine. You're still going to have your ideas. It's just that now you're doing it with all this new knowledge. And then in 3 days from now, when we have this new moon in Leo, which I'm sure I'll say the same thing when I do the new moon in Leo video, but that divine masculine is also in a quiet place. And so you do have Venus, who is the divine feminine, in a quiet place, starting this new journey. And that divine masculine in Leo, the moon, where the moon will be, it's going to be in a quiet place too. And again, this is just how I see the astrology. This is how I read it. This is how the intuitiveness, I guess, comes in. And so it is saying that divine masculine side of us is right there with our divine feminine side. You know, it is time to grow up both these sides. It is time to see like they are working together. It is time to start moving forward, using both sides of our brain, you know, seeing things whole, seeing these complete, seeing these like, okay, the past couple weeks, I know a lot of us has felt stuck. A lot of us have felt a little, you know, and this is the new journey. This is the new start, you know, and I find this very interesting as we go into this new start, all the planets start retrograde, right? So we get to start looking around and really getting into the nuts and bolts of how we're going to start this new journey. So to me, this is like a really powerful time, which I probably say that every other week too, but here we are, folks. We're living in powerful times. We're doing a good job, everybody. Thanks for doing this together. So I think I'm going to kind of leave that there. I was trying to see. So I can say this. If you guys wanted to go back and look, 2015 was where we had the new Venus in Leo, and she was retrograde at 22 degrees of Leo. And then in 2019, in 4 years, is when she was direct as a full Venus. And then now in 2023, she's gone back. She's at 20 degrees of Leo, and she's retrograde again. So this is that new beginning, that new start. So one thing you can do is, if you have your birth chart, you can go to where it's 20 degrees of Leo in your chart and see what house that's in. Is it bringing that new energy into that house? Yes. Do I think that's the only way to interpret this? No, I don't. I feel like this is a new Venus for all of us. Just in the realms of Venus, just in the realms of Taurus, who's also ruled by Venus, Libra, right? And the South Node's in Libra, right? Bringing us back into balance. But is that divine feminine of being grounded. When you're grounded, you can receive because you know what's true. And that was the other thing that I was going to say. What is true will always stay. Okay. What is true will always move with you. Okay. What isn't true will fade away. Right. And I see that more and more every day. And I know, a lot of times people are like, well, don't be scared. If it's true, it'll stay. And I do believe that, you guys. So when those old stories fade away, or even like old lifestyles, you don't need to beat yourself up over it. You're just like, yeah, I did that at that time. It was fun. Now this is where I am now. This is kind of how the earth works, right? We have cycles, we go through things, we learn things, and we keep moving forward, And there's some of us that do, and there's some of us that don't. And that's okay too. We're all here to learn different things. Usually I think the people that watch these videos are moving forward, which is where I am with my energy, right? It doesn't mean the people that are still, that's fine. We're not better or worse than either one. Okay. We're just all here learning these things together, learning how to co-create and seeing how things all work symbiotically. So if you guys want to journal with this, see where you are now. You can see what house it's in. But also I would just, set these intentions to see, just see where you are now. How do you think about yourself now? Where is it that you want to go moving forward? When you see yourself grounded, do you see yourself grounded today? How can I be grounded today? How can I love myself more today? How can I love my planet more today? What is something that I can do? And it is quiet and it is easy, right? And the thing is, when you keep showing up as yourself day after day after day, yeah. But if you keep showing up as yourself and you are in that joy and you are grounded, that's what makes that big impact. Okay. That's what creates your reality. That's what creates your universe. And it is so beautiful that this always happens when this divine feminine of Venus is always in the divine masculine sign of Leo. Okay. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to leave it there. Like and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Helen and I are going to do our video later today. And then I'm going to come on maybe today, maybe tomorrow, and talk a little politics, a little political stuff. So just how I see it with the terms of astrology. So if you guys want to stay tuned for that, that'd be great. Tell all your friends. Okay, guys, happy new Venus day. I'm excited for this new 8-year journey. I'm excited for this new 4-year journey. And I'm really happy that we're all doing this together. Okay, till next time.